The last couple of weeks' uploads have raised a lot of questions in the comments. So this week I've decided to put together a pre-match football trading video guide. By the end you'll have learned about several of the biggest factors that create pre-game price movement in the football markets. Now, I've not seen anything of this kind out there on the internet before, so make sure you sit back and absorb the lot. With fixtures being more spread out and no clashes on a Saturday afternoon, particularly at 3 PM, there's more opportunity for successful pre-match trading. Before we start though, I just want to say there's very little incentive for me to share useful information like this out there on YouTube for free with ad revenue being so low. So please, if you find this video useful or interesting at all, take 2 seconds just to tap the like button down below and subscribe to the channel to see future content. Now, to get straight into it, there's 3 main areas to focus on with your pre-match trading if you want to do it successfully. Now, the first one we're going to start off with is change, and particularly team news, but not limited to team news an hour before the start of the match. So as I've said previously in other videos and with my horse racing tutorials, where there is change, there is opportunity, even if it's only for a limited amount of time. Football is no different. As new information is released and it's evident that the match is going to take place under different conditions, the price has to move with those conditions because the probability of something happening changes. It's as simple as that. It doesn't necessarily change in seconds either. It can take a little bit of time to play out. So if we share a recent example on the screen now, you can see what happened to Inter Milan's price when Shakhtar players tested positive for coronavirus on the lead in to their match. The price almost halved from a price of about 1.9 all the way down to 1.57. Now, in percentage terms, this is a huge move in the marketplace, and you wouldn't have needed a huge stake on to generate a very healthy return in that instance. But it's not the only time that this sort of thing happens. So you want to look at, freak news, last minute changes. The bigger and the more drastic the changes, the better, and in particular, player injuries. Now, one of the most attractive things about pre-game trading is the fact that you can open a large position in the exchange markets and your entire stake is not at risk. You're only going to lose or gain profit in line with the price movement assigned to those tick increments based on your stake in value. So pre-game trading is typically a lot slower, more defined, a bit more predictable. We can trade the news and the changes in the marketplace, and they don't always happen instantaneously. They are certainly far slower than when you're trading in-game. That's not to say you won't see massive market movements in pre-game markets, because you certainly will. As you can see the one there with Inter Milan, typically when managers pick a different starting lineup to what the marketplace expects is when you see the most drastic changes. So team news can be a very important time to be trading pre-match markets too. A typical example that most will be aware of in that context will be when Mourinho picks a far stronger side than expected, or when Klopp plays the kiddies or reserves. Now, towards the end of the season, this can be even more important because when you consider different match motivations and if a team is reaching for a specific result due to points, then things can change drastically. Now, the second most crucial important point that you want to consider when you're pre-match trading is the betting public's view. View being the key word, their perception. I'm talking about like the wisdom of crowds, which you may have heard it referred to previously in the past. Because when it comes to trading, perception is far more important to the marketplace than the actual reality of something happening. So for example, the team news can be really important, as we previously just mentioned, but it could be even more important, the overall perception of the betting public. So when it's broadcast, and the harder the message is broadcast, the more impact that can have over the betting market. More details on the specifics in just a second, but right now it's important that you understand this. So successful trading isn't just about the sport and predicting the future in the sport and what's happening. It's about understanding the marketplace and where the advantages are and the points to exploit within that marketplace. Once you understand it for one sport, you understand it for several. So we'll stick a link in the description down below for some of the courses we've got over on the website. But for now, let's go back to pre-match trading and what to look for specifically. Recent form is probably the most obvious place to go to, but I want to say you want to focus on extreme situations. The reason for this is it sticks in people's mind. So you want to look for those type of results in recent form that are going to stick in the general public's mind, and they're not going to forget easily, good and bad, and it may sway people beyond the team's fans to place a bet in the market. And that's a bit of a mouthful there, but what I'm trying to say is if you think about the betting exchanges, everybody's betting against each other and there's supply and demand in the market, and it's much like voting. So what section of people are going to sway the vote in this situation? Obviously it's going to be the people who wouldn't normally vote. So people who aren't the team's fans placing bets in the market. What kind of key headlines, recent form, situations that happened are going to stick out in their mind and entice them into the marketplace to sway the price before kickoff. Now on top of that, you've got accelerators of public perception. So we're talking about the media here primarily. When are they going to be about? When are they going to drive this information to the general betting public? And when are they going to have peak interest? So obviously we've got team news, that's relatively mild. 15 minutes or so before the match, 20 minutes before the match, you see the media sources picking up. There's a lot more coverage, there's a lot more hype, a lot more fanaticism, and there's a lot more people placing bets too. So that's why it's not unusual to see kind of like a second wave in market activity in the pre-game football markets before kickoff. Now the third and final and easily the most important factor for pre-match trading in the football markets has to be the weight of matched money. So weight of match money is very different to weight of money, as you may have heard it referenced previously in the past. I harp on about it until I'm blue in the face with horse racing trading, but weight of match money is the most important market indicator going, because it's basically people putting their money where their mouth is. It's a true indicator. It actually moves the prices through supply and demand in the marketplace. So these traded volumes can be viewed two different ways. If you're using the Betfair website, you can look at the charts. You'll see the traded volume along the bottom there. The charts aren't that great because they haven't got a time axis along the bottom. Or if you're using a piece of trading software such as Geekstoy, you can see the traded volume bars in the columns there, which you'll have seen in previous videos on this YouTube channel. So when we're looking at traded volumes and the weight of match money, the thing we're really looking for is a large portion of small, consistent bets for one side of the price than the other. So that's a lot to comprehend there in one go, but I'm not talking about one large bet that may have moved the price for 5, 6, 10 ticks for a short period of time. I'm talking about, you know, the crowd of people that are having a bet on the match, you know, your £20, your 50s, your 100s, but we're talking about many bets. So that is depicted, we'll show a graph on screen now, that is depicted by a lot of match volume along there over a period of time and the price moving in one direction. So it's certainly favourable in one direction. We're not talking about one big chunk that swiped out the price for a good few ticks. Now in terms of pre-game trading, this just adds confidence to an already open position. You'll see in the previous videos on several occasions I said, you know, I'm not confident at this point in time that the price is going to carry on indefinitely, but I'm opening a position so I can let my profits run, close my losses out short, but I'm looking at the traded volumes from that point onwards intently. So there's lots of different people that can be involved in the marketplace leading up to the start of a match. We can have traders, pre-match traders, in-play traders. So looking at things like average goal times on the specific match for the specific teams can also be important, because if somebody's expecting a very early goal, or a large portion of people are expecting a very early goal, it's highly likely they'll open their position just before kickoff, which adds weight to a pre-match move. On top of that, you've got industry people such as bookmakers that might want to be dumping liability in the marketplace because they've got an uneven book. So that can add weight to an already open position, although it's usually too late to be the defining factor. Now I hope this video has been quite clear. If you go back and look at the previous two videos that we uploaded, showing two pre-match examples, hopefully they'll be a lot clearer now after having this more fuller explanation. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.